Okay, seeing that it's 6 o'clock, I'm going to call to order the Village of Belleville Planning Commission meeting for Wednesday, May 14th.
Roll call president. Oh, we're on it. Planning Commission. Mike Service.
Here.
Chance Kosmarski is not here at the moment.
I'm here virtually.
Oh, hi, Chance.
Hi.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Gary.
Here.
Debbie Bongard. Here. Jared Wells.
Here.
Larry Enlow.
Here.
Melissa Francois. Here. You have a quorum.
Public participation. Public participation allows citizens to be heard on any agenda and non-agenda item. The public may also comment during the public participation section of each item. The Planning Commission shall make no decisions or consideration of action or citizen comments for items not on the agenda, except to refer the matter to the village staff for administrative consideration or to schedule the matter for Planning Commission consideration at a later date. And I ask that if you have a comment to come up to the podium, state your name and address, and try to keep the comments to about 3 minutes.
I don't have anybody signed up for public comment in this.
Since there is no public comment, we'll continue to the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a commission member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered as the first item after the approval of the consent agenda. And we have one item tonight for the minutes from the April 9th Planning Commission meeting.
Move approval of the consent agenda.
I'll second that. Discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Passes. Next item for 5, conditional use permit application. Relevant 2025-07 for 511 West Pearl Street.
Yeah, it's actually East Pearl Street. We discussed this at the last Plan Commission meeting. This is just a legal document that is the conditional use permit that incorporates all the conditions that Plan Commission approved the permit under at the last meeting. And I will say this is the last stop for this, with the exception of the easement that still needs to go before the board for the stormwater pipe coming from the property to the river.
I'll move approval of resolution 2025-03.
Second.
Second, see the discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Next item is conditional use permit application 2025-11 for 807.
It's the conditional use permit application for beer garden. Yeah, bowling alley. On River Street. We started doing conditional use permits this year for beer gardens. That way we do not have to go through the permit process every single year. They'll still be inspected every single year, but this is a one and done unless there's a material change to their operation in the beer garden.
Okay, and then we have a presentation.
I think that was kind of the presentation. I don't have anything extra. They are here in case you had any questions for them, but we will discuss and consider if you have any questions.
So, try to open a public hearing again. So now open the public hearing at 6:04. Posting of the public hearing.
Okay, the public hearing was published in the Post Messenger Recorder on April 17th and April 24th. That included the affidavit of publication as part of the agenda packet. It was also posted at Village Hall, the Belleville Public Library, and on the Village of Belleville website on Friday, May 9th.
Public participation.
I have no one signed up for public participation. If anybody was planning on not, fine too.
Any other public participation?
He has to ask 3 times, so.
And are there any other comments? Any other comments? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing at 6:05. Now we will discuss, consider a conditional use permit request authorizing a beer garden at the property located at 807 River Street. So,
So this will be the same as we just did for Lion. We'll recommend and we'll have to draft it and come back with the actual permit next month, right?
We hold off writing the resolutions just in case there are any contingencies or things we want added.
Yeah, I don't know what conditions you guys are gonna put on, and I sure can't sit here and write a legal document, so.
Well, I mean, the 4 conditions you had in your recommendation, I would agree with those, so. You guys see the letter that Ian wrote? Yeah, okay. You have any issues with any of those?
No.
Okay.
So that would be with the decibel level and the music being a certain time that was included in your recommendations, correct?
They would have to.
That'd be the only thing, yeah.
I will point out also they've had this beer garden for a while, as most of the ones we're going to see this summer do. So they're already adhering to ordinance. Need a motion.
I'll move that, we move forward with drafting a conditional use permit, for 807 River Street.
Conditions or? do we-
Yeah, with the conditions, I'm sorry, with the conditions of your letter dated, May 14th.
if change to the motion, honestly.
I don't think I caught who seconded. Was that?
I did.
Okay, I did catch who seconded.
Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Moving on. Number 7, rezoning application. 2025-12109 South Park Street.
This is a rezone application from the yards for the depot property, rezoning it to general business from industrial. This is also a part of the agreement the yards has with the purchase of the property from the village. It is consistent with the long-range plan. Just to be clear, this is only for the rezone and not for anything having to do with the concept site operations or anything.
Is that considered the presentation also?
Unless you guys have anything else you want to share?
I brought our standard if we need to.
Yeah, we're here for questions.
Then we'll do, I think you've got a section for site plan and that kind of stuff next. So this is just specifically for the rezone to the, so we'll hold it.
Okay, so I'm going to open the public hearing for parcel number to be changed from general industrial to BG, general commercial district, starting at 6:09.
All right, so you're gonna have to hear me say this 3 times, guys, sorry. The public hearing was published in the Post Messenger Recorder on April 17th and April 24th. I have included the affidavit of publication as part of the agenda packet. It was also posted at Village Hall, Belleville Public Library, and on the Village Belleville website on Friday, May 9th.
So it opens to public participation now for South Park Street.
I don't have anybody signed up for this one, but I do have a letter that came in through email that I have to read. So if nobody wants to speak, then I will just share.
Judy, you had a comment?
I do have a comment. The depot was purchased by the village, so why would it be under industrial instead of government?
It was industrial and it was originally purchased by the village, and I could find no record of us ever having rezoned it after taking ownership. It's possible it could have happened, but I have no record. I wasn't able to find it.
Okay, I think I can read this one under 3 minutes, so I'm not going to set the timer on my side. Here we go. To the Village of Belleville, Wisconsin, Planning Commission meeting, public hearing for 109 River Street rezone from Michael Park and 34 East Church Street, Belleville, Wisconsin. I wish it to be read into record for the public hearing on the rezone for 109 River Street Depot Lot. This is a direct impact on my home lot and life and serves as a negative impact to the residential neighborhood that surrounds it. I will give a list of other reasons to consider a no rezone. The Village of Belleville has sold this lot for under market value. Lot was purchased from Landmark Cope for numbers. $325,000. Roof repair was done for $175,000. The property is being sold for $200,000, a financial loss to the voting residents of the village. The Village of Belleville is selling the property as business general without going through the correct legal channels and has violated resident rights. Tell now to try to act like nothing is wrong with their actions and act like the village is following the law/ordinance after they got caught violating laws. The Village of Belleville still has not followed the requirements contained in the conditional use permit for the property 109 River Street Depot. Stated the property zoning and the depot building were to be restored to the original condition prior to being owned by Union Cope, i.e. Landmark Feed Fertilizer Corp. It would be a grass lot, zoned residential, and the building back to the original. The Village of Belleville has refused to act or enforce any part of the conditional use permit in the past and still refused to even acknowledge the existence of it. No notice was ever sent out to the residents, even closed public hearing, the CUP. And the village refused to act with complaints, instead rezoned it without even a public hearing and issued event permits for the property, allowing the lot to be used as a public parking lot, and refused to ticket or enforcement under the CUP to protect the historic depot building itself. The Village of Belleville even refused state and federal funding for restoration that the CDA applied for. I am not in favor of a new CUP for 109 River Street based off the experience of the past, or a rezone at this time until the Village of Belleville completes its original CUP obligations to the residents surrounding this property and of the village. Thank you, Michael P. Park.
Any additional public comment? Any additional comments? Any additional comments? And I'll close the public hearing at 6:13 p.m. Discuss, consider approval on zoning application for 109 South Park Street parcel number, I'm not going to read that, to be changed from I General Industrial to BG General Commercial District.
Give it spiel.
We don't have a resolution again. It'll be just we'll come back with a resolution next month, right?
Rezones don't require the resolution. This is just an approval of the application.
Okay, then I'll move that we approve the rezoning at 103 South Park Street from,
109.
or I'm sorry, yeah, 109, sorry, from general industrial to BG general commercial.
I'll second that.
We had it from Missy.
Motion by Gary, second by Missy. Additional discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Yeah. 8, the site plan application for for 109 South Park Street.
So this is purely a concept, no action to be taken. This is kind of the kick at the can that we give for developers to come in, bounce things off the plan commission members and get feedback before they do actually. Kick at the can, so. I think Catherine, if you want to get into it.
So just a general kind of review of the site.
Whatever you want to do.
Awesome.
Um,
I don't know where.
I know, I'm turning my back to everybody, I'm sorry. I don't know what's best.
It'd be fine if you face the public.
Okay.
I
Okay,
won't be offended.
sorry.
Okay, sorry.
It feels better.
We're getting recognized.
So my name's Catherine. This is Derek. We've met a lot of folks in the past. Look forward to meeting some more. We won't take up too much time here. The general site plan, sorry, it's a little small. If we can orient ourselves, library park is sort of up here, and here's the Badger State Bike Trail. Looking at keeping the building, the building is preserved. A very large part of this site plan, excuse me, starting in the middle. A large part of the site plan, we have this very large, big, beautiful deck. The side of it right here that runs along the Badger State Bike Trail comes back sort of in likeness to the original platform. Then we continue it around the south side here with a new opening in the south side, kind of spilling this nice big room out to a big, beautiful porch. That opens up further onto the nice big lawn facing, this is Park Street and this is Church Street down here. Is that right? Yeah, Church. Let's get these two mixed up. And Church Street down here. These guys, these little colored blocks that you see are small shipping container style restaurants. Imagine like a food truck, but it's a shipping container. So it's a permanent installation. We've gotten some really, really great interest from a few local vendors. This building right here is a little larger, built in the same style, but it's a shared kitchen. This one over here, sorry, I feel Vanna White. This is kind of a shared kitchen down here, so various taco truck, taco vendor has this sort of kitchen to be used. We have a nice big playground going in. We'll have good signage right up front. This kind of front northern view continues to be the sort of like, we call the postcard image, right? The beautiful sort of picture.
Yeah.
Are there any questions? Yes.
The big, yeah, there's some big, full-size kitchen.
Correct.
That's our goal. We'd like to have some tastings. If there's big events going on, it can get a little cramped in the smaller container unit. So we'll have this industrial kitchen for extra prep space for the individual tenants. And then also, like I said, tastings, private dinners. I'd really like to get some chopped competitions in there too.
Any questions? Yeah.
There's two white ash trees in the southeast corner.
Yes.
Are you keeping those?
We are not keeping those. Well, we are planning on not keeping those. It's up for discussion. And I'll tell you why. So in the fall, they have very, very beautiful colors. They're that wonderful dark red, and it provides the only shade available on the site. We had everybody out very recently and kind of looked at rearranging this bottom triangle of the site to keep those trees mainly for the shade. We had an arborist out here as well as our landscape architect, and just due to them being ash trees and just due to what ash trees are, it was not recommended that we redesign our site in such a way to maintain those trees.
It's a village forester.
Oh, okay, great. I'd love to talk to you about that.
I'd love to keep them. I treated them twice now.
Okay.
I would advocate for keeping them.
Let's talk
If
about
we
it.
ut them down, we're losing shade and we're
Yes.
never getting that shade back.
Okay, let's talk about it. I would have responded with different. Sorry about that. Sorry, discussing that with you. Any other questions?
I've got a question.
Yes.
Just about parking. It's all going to be, there's not going to be any on-site parking. It's just going to be street parking.
Correct. We're looking at public and we want to look at discussing further too with the village.
We've been-
That's part of the.
That would be something I would just like, since we are a bridge to neighborhoods and just making sure that we had ample parking spots to places. So
Yeah, we've been talking with Gabe and Ian about it. I think parking is it's a bigger issue, you know what I mean? Whether this project exists or not, right? It's a conversation that's ongoing. And so instead of kind of coming in and saying, this is what we're doing, I think it's more like, what do you guys want to do and how can we support that? My thought about the space is that the site itself is a little bit too civic prime to be turned into a parking lot. That's my personal. But we want to support the village and what they want to do. Anything else?
I'll leave a couple extra business cards if you have any other questions. Happy to follow up with anybody here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Phil. Moving on to item number 9, rezoning application. 2025-13.
So this is a rezone application. So the area to the south was recently annexed into the village, and upon annexation, our ordinance states that it automatically reverts to a rural development. Zoning, so that portion is rural development. To the north, we have 2 different zonings. It's industrial and single family medium density. And the applicant is requesting that be rezoned to single family high density and PG public grounds for the items that are shown on the plat. I will say this again, this is just for rezoning. This is not taking into account anything on the actual plat application. It is consistent with our long range plan as it is put in our long range plan as a planned neighborhood.
Sir, any other?
Now, or is she gonna talk?
And you can talk now or you can talk later. It's about the plat. And then the next.
Well, I can show the picture and the zoning.
Sure.
If you all speak up, and I can't hear your Thank you.
With your indulgence, I'll take my position at the end of the table like last time.
Sure.
All right. I was left with the bad easel. Here. You can get around that way. Hi, everybody. Jeff Lincoln, Held Art Design Resources, representing Josh Petrie with White Oak Development. There in the back. I know we're focused on zoning for this. I'll be back in a few minutes. But we are looking to rezone this parcel of the Fahey property. What you see in basically orange and white are public city streets. Green being green space areas, either reserved for park and detention, great park, or nature/wetland areas. And so the zoning request, if I parse out the 2 ideas, zoning for the single family area in your new R high density zoning, and then the green for the park. This lighter green is the Badger State Trail. I think I'll stop there because I'm sure there'll be a lot more discussion during the tenant plat.
And I'll open the public hearing for the potential rezoning of parcels from rural development to public grounds and single family high density at 625.
Okay, the public hearing was published in the Post Messenger Recorder on April 17th and April 24th. I've included the affidavit of publication as part of the agenda packet. It was also posted at Village Hall, Belleville Public Library, and on the Village of Belleville website on Friday night.
This is where we open it up to public participation.
I do have a list for this one, starting with Scott Letman.
I need to try to keep your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Try and hit this timer for you.
It's gonna run a timer.
All right, we're gonna see.
Good evening, Scott Lepman, Cindy Lepman. We are the couple that owns the 50-acre parcel to the south or to the east of that proposed subdivision. Just quickly, I would just like to say it seems like it might be a little bit too much volume. Downsizing downsizing the numbers of homes, making a little bit bigger parcels. I have posted private property signs along that. However, that edge is going to be changed. I've looked at it, talked to the engineer. We've kind of got a few things fleshed out as far as drainage, ponds, how it's going to affect. We have an outlet easement into it, which is only 20 feet wide. So, legally, driveway 33 feet. Possibly, I don't know. I'll have to flesh it out. 66 two rods. But anyways, past practice from the village off of Greenview, as far as no dumping signs and whatever, we'd like to have somebody revisit that because it hasn't stopped that. So with that being said, with this new subdivision proposal, backyard is coming right up to our property line. That's going to be an issue. Trespass, all that other that I've dealt with in the past. Spillways, junction with problems. There's always an action with a reaction with the retaining pond. So engineers already said that's going to be piped right into the spillway into the sewer. We have issues surveying and fencing. I'm sure there will be an updated survey done after they start taking the fence line and everything up to code or whatever. Talk to the owner, possibly purchase a little bit of land to make that driveway a little bit wider so I can have a legal easement. It can be improved and kind of fit into the grand scheme of things once that road is continued through. And I've talked to a few, with Dan Sullivan about the dog trail, and I think that's all works itself out through legal paperwork. So as far as the annexation of that property, how does that affect our property? Just jog around and still be Exeter?
Yeah, it doesn't affect your property right whatsoever.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sam.
I'm sorry, I'm doing three things at once. Dan, Sullivan. Go ahead, Dan.
Anyway, I'm Dan Sullivan. I guess I'd like to see the plan commission turn the initial thought down. The reason is, if no other reason, is the amount of volume of traffic. Emptying out of there has 3 ways to go. And all 3 ways are resident streets. That amount of houses there, you're talking over 1,000 type of opinions. Some estimates 2,500. All on 3 residential streets. Really, it's only 2. Because 2 of those streets go out onto South Park Street, which is residential street. So, I'd like to see the plan coming back with a green strip that takes into consideration everybody that lives here. All these backyards right here. And all the way down, connect that all the way up to here. Just the green space could be 20 feet, be nice to have 50 feet all the way down. Connect this one and all the way across our property there. We have 96 acres south of there, very sensitive wetlands. And we'd like to see a trail over to that park and then to the bike trail. So everybody here get to there with a nice greenery. Everybody moving here would have a nice neighborhood. That's all I got to say.
Dan?
And Sullivan, thank you.
Thanks, Ned. My name is Amber Val Sullivan. I reside at N9448, the property that my husband Dan just described, short of 100 acres immediately south of the proposed subdivision. We have several concerns about this subdivision. I'm going to articulate two today. We've submitted some materials and one recommendation. First of all, the density of the subdivision is roughly double that of the Cosgrove subdivision, which has 120 houses on approximately the same acreage as the proposed one, which has 248. We encourage the Plan Commission to reduce the number of houses and require the addition of more green space in the proposed plat to maintain villagers' quality of life and preserve natural habitat. According to the Federal Highway Administration's National Household Traffic Survey, a household in Wisconsin averages over 5 vehicle trips per day. Even by a conservative estimate, as Dan has said, this will result in over 1,000 additional trips a day from the new subdivision, well over the 10% mark increase that the developer claims the subdivision will not exceed. Another concern is that we want to ensure that no harm comes to our property, particularly the 40+ acres of wetlands immediately to the south of the new subdivision. The current design risks doing significant damage, as the testimony we included in our packet to the Plan Commission shows, to the abundant plant and animal habitat there. Our recommendation, as Dan has said, is that the immediate neighborhoods in the Belleville community would benefit from the preservation of the current walking corridor southwest of the proposed subdivision via our easement and around the subdivision. So we encourage the Plan Commission to consider that and require the developer to relocate the planned park to the south. Finally, I do want to emphasize that the design of this subdivision is not a done deal. The developer can be required to design it, and that it's really the village board, the Plan Commission and the village board, that has the final say and makes the decisions on behalf of the village. I ask that you seriously consider these concerns when you're making your recommendations to the board. And for anybody who's interested, I have copies of some of the expert testimony available to hand out to anybody in the audience today. So thank you for your time.
I pass.
Okay, thank you. Letitia Cannon.
Hello, all. I'm Letitia Cannon, and I reside at 335 Sugar Avenue here in Belleville. My comment is in regards to the Badger Trails preliminary plat application. As proposed, the new housing will be detrimental not only to those living near Badger Trails, but the community at large. Right now, the plan doesn't adequately account for traffic that'll be generated by the additional 248 units that are densely packed into the neighborhood with only 2 streets planned. I don't know if a community impact study was completed for this proposal, but this development as proposed will require increased policing to manage not only additional traffic, but also community safety. Additionally, the plan does not include a community park or any other features that would minimize negative impacts to existing and new residents in the area. And this isn't to say that I'm against new housing coming in. That's great. It's great to have growth in the area and to see our community blossom. But I want to add another recommendation here to the list tonight that in our neighboring community, Verona, they require new residential areas to include a park, which should also be considered here. To preserve some of the natural area that's already there. And to wrap up, I recommend the proposal be updated and amended prior to moving forward. Thank you for your time.
Trina.
I didn't write up anything formal. My name is Trina Rupert. I actually live on 4th Street, so I'm one of the first houses that borders this. And I would really just like to kind of echo what Dan and Ann have been saying in terms, and the last person, I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Letitia, just about the increased traffic. The proposal from the developer says that it won't have more than a 10% increase, but based on the statistics I've been reading, what Ann and Dan have found as well, is that the traffic is going to be much higher than that. So definitely my ask for you guys is to reconsider the high density and maybe make the lots a little bit bigger, a little less traffic for us. And I will say, for those of us who border this area, we really do use the easement trail that is around there. And to have that as a loss for us is a really big deal. And I think it would be beneficial for those of us who are around it, but also for the new members that it would be moving into this development. It would be really good as well. Thank you.
Cody. Oh, I'm sorry, Cody. Two things at once. I can't get it to stop. There we go.
Cody Austin, I live at 22 4th Street. I'm village forester as well. Last year I bought my house.
Yeah, Adam, yeah.
It was my first house that we bought. I wasn't told by anybody till afterwards that there was going to be a development put in. We have a garden back there. The natural area that Trina's talked about, Dan's talking about. It's really important to us. I grew up on East Avenue. In 2002, my parents sold their house, which was the last house on East Avenue before the Cosgrove development got put in. And then I find it ironic that I buy a house and right behind it is another development that's going to go in. Just want to reiterate everything that has already been said, but also if this is going to move forward, I would like to advocate for trees because the development on the west side of town right now looks like hell. And we're trying really hard to get trees in the right of way out there. It'd be really important for us to work with a developer in getting trees in the right of way this time and get it done correctly. I could go on about health benefits and everything else about what trees can bring, but just Google that. But I'm advocating for what Dana said of having nice riparian area or like a buffer zone all the way around the whole development. Because frankly, I don't want to look at it. And anyone that buys my house in the future or Trina's house in the future, they probably don't want to look at it either. And that could just ease the pain a little bit. So that's it. Thanks.
Rick Diaz. Okay, let's start.
Everybody, I'm Rick Diaz. I'm an Exeter resident. Lived in the area since about 2000. Had a number of conversations about the new development. I'd just like to provide my input, which is very similar to what you've heard so far. I'm concerned that there are a number of negative impacts to the proposed plan, including traffic, increased runoff, and impacts to wetlands in the area. Potential negative impacts to schools, and definitely impacts to to neighboring properties. So overall, I feel this has a negative impact to Belleville and the surrounding communities. And I would urge that the Plan Commission reject the proposal and request that developer not resubmit without reduction of less than half the density that's currently proposed. And one other thing that I would add that hasn't been brought up is that for the folks in this room, perhaps a brief discussion of what constitutes a high density development versus other alternatives that the village would entertain. Thank you.
Lori Strelo.
Hi, I'm Laura Strelo. I'm at N9206 Hillcrest in the town of Exeter. And first of all, I agree with everything you've heard already from the public. And I did Google the green spaces, so I wanted to add a little bit, including a survey of Wisconsin Health that really talks about how a neighborhood green space lowers depression, anxiety, and for kids going to school, focus, cognitive abilities, all of these things are really important with having green space, including trees, looking out your window and seeing trees, not in their house or neighbor's siding, things like that. And also the subdivision could adversely affect, all the residents who move in, their well-being. And so I think that's really key and important. So I never hear the word playgrounds. I hear park. But I know from the Village of Belleville's comprehensive outdoor recreation plan, lack of playgrounds is a major complaint for this village, or upgraded playgrounds. So there should be park areas, but as a grandmother of 4 kids, I can't live without playgrounds. So bringing those kids out and also walking. Are there sidewalks in this plan? I can't tell. I don't know if that's a question, but as a grandmother pushing buggies down these roads to get to a park that I can't even find, you'd have to come to the village. You'd have to cross the street. You'd have to go down to lake area, and that's more than a 10-minute walk. And they say if it's more than a 10-minute walk, you're not going to do it. So that's some of my big concerns.
Okay. Finally, Adam Sonberg had written you guys a letter, but in lieu of me having to read it, he's.
Yeah, I'll spare you guys the lengthy two-page letter and just summarize my comments. So appreciate the time. Adam Sonnenberg, I live at N94, 84 County Road CC in Exeter. So basically where the cul-de-sac is there at the end is where my backyard would run up to. I support a lot of the comments that have been discussed in this evening's meeting. A lot of what I wrote in my letter is reflected in what the comments have been depicted here this afternoon at. A few that I will just reiterate is the high density area and 248 houses in that condensed area seems a little excessive. I would say quantity does not equal quality. That we are, in my opinion, a family-oriented community, not a bedroom community where we're going to pack in a bunch of houses and have people sleep. I think quality of life and having a bigger lot does make a difference. My family utilizes the trail along Sullivan's extensively. My wife, my young daughter, and our dog take that trail every day. And I know having homes up along that side is going to impact that. So I strongly ask that you consider rejecting this and having them going back to the drawing board to reduce the amount of houses that are there, increase the amount of green space that we have in park and recreation area, not only for the well-being of the community and its residents that are there now, but for future residents that are going to want to come and be in this community. And just for the wetlands and the environment itself. Thanks.
That's all that I have on my list.
Are there any other comments?
Please space for open comments. Well, I don't have a speech prepared, sorry. My name is Kate Swanko. I live with Cody Austin, who's your village forester. So you may have seen him around your yards. You may see us both around your yards, hopefully in the future. My big question is, if we're gonna add all these families and we welcome them, how are we gonna support their needs from a grocery standpoint when we can't even support our own community as is? If we can't have food in stock for our own community, how are we going to support 1,000 other people? That's all I have.
Again, are there any other comments?
Are there sidewalks then? And the plans? There's a.
We can talk about that in a minute once we go.
Yeah, that'll be section. This isn't the back and forth. You know, we're just looking for comments. So, second time, are there any other comments?
Technically, that's your third time if you want.
I'm gonna do one more just to make.
Okay, I really like when you say it.
Are there any other comments? And I'll close the public hearing at 6:44. So I will discuss and consider approval on rezoning application for proposed Badger Trail subdivision to be changed from RD rural development to PG public grounds and RSH single family high density district.
Like the high density, that changes can be made. Show that, correct? We're gonna rezone it from business to, or from. We're gonna rezone it as our residential community, but we can. Work with the details on that later, what the density is gonna be, we'll work with the developer on all that stuff. This is solely the rezone, correct?
what we need to see.
Rezone determines density.
So,
We need to discuss that now.
The zoning for residential determines the lot size.
so what do we do? What
So
defines the high density in that area? How many houses per?
It's not a house per, it's a lot size. So the minimum is 6,000 lots or 6,000, excuse me, square foot lot. Is the minimum lot size. There's a little bit of a difference with the setbacks as well.
Medium density is,
Look, I gotta pull it up here.
Can I get, like, what does that mean for number of houses? He's proposing, how many is it, Jeff? How many houses right now?
48.
Sorry?
248.
48, and so going down to like a medium density puts it as how many houses?
Medium density would be 9,600 minimum square footage per lot. I'll say in my review too, not all of the lots. I'm graded the vast majority of them are right at the 6,060-ish lots that are at the 6,000, but then, you know, the rest of them are higher, all the way up to 23,000 square feet for the largest lot.
So it sounds like if we're gonna cram that many houses in there, they're living on a postage stamp. And that's what it sounds like to me. Am I the only one?
Average, no, that's average.
I think we need to have bigger lots and less houses.
So what is it, our ordinances are, what is it zoned as after we annex it by default?
Rural development.
Rural development and
That's it, rural development. There were two portions that are already a part of the village, and those were general industrial and rural medium, or excuse me, residential medium density. Those are the two triangle at the top of the plat there, what they're currently zoned.
You're saying this guy is zoned medium?
It's a little bit further to the northeast, but yeah, that area.
so that the existing subdivision.
There is no existing cornfield is zoned that way. So the internet could work, I could tell you what the
So Mike, can you help me make a motion here since I'm new to this?
Oh, I think we're,
Or not?
I think we're,
Serious.
I think we're still discussing, I mean,
access Dane for Dane County gives you the square footage of a lot. The Green County GIS only gives you the acreage, so I had to figure out the square footage. So most of the lots in the Cosgrove subdivision are anywhere between like 10 and 11,000, or excuse me, 9 and 11,000.
so
That would be medium density.
as it sits now, 92 to 93% of these lots would not meet that medium required density. My calculations are correct, which I just did, which I think they are. Yeah. I mean, this has been my
Medium
concern.
density, right?
No,
Oh.
yeah, medium density, yes, they would be below the 96,000 square foot lot. This has been my concern when we talked about minimum lot size too, is just that developers would try to pack as many houses as possible into an area. Now, I understand there might be a need for some of those because they do say cheaper home prices, which I would like more affordable homes in Belleville. I still haven't seen that would, they put the same house on the smaller lot. I'm not sure and charge the same price. But if it is cheaper, great. But I think we need to balance that somehow. I don't think the majority of those or 90% of the houses should fall under that density level.
Yeah.
So I would be concerned with rezoning the high density. But then we couldn't put anything less than 96 if it was medium density, correct?
Correct. Yeah, the requirements that you guys can, I should say, the review and requirements that you guys can make your determination based on are frozen at the time of application. The ordinance and pretty much any law that you're using to review against this application and the requirements that you can impose are frozen at the time of application. And so, you can, talk about whatever you want to talk about doing with the zoning code at a later date, but for this particular application, we have to use what we currently have adopted. Yeah, correct.
So you also don't have to do one size. So if you wanted as it is right now, you want larger density or smaller density on the bottom and on the sides and more in the middle and the back, you could do more higher density. Like you can mix and match. You don't have to do straight across the board. So you do have flexibility.
One other concern of mine is we're short on park land based on our ordinance amount, also based on, the number of units.
By state statute, they have to provide either the fee in lieu of or apartment. Cannot require, they can present a combination of both.
But, and I know we're kind of jumping ahead here, doing the rezone before we do the plat review, they really kind of need to intermingle, in my opinion. So in Ian's letter that he said to put out about this, we had talked about, he talked about the parkland and with the annexation that's going to happen next, I'm thinking of that one is across the street from Sugar River Park, that there's going to be, again, that land, the way I understand it, in the sale of that land, everything south of the river was supposed to be, or a majority of it south of the river is going to be dedicated to the village's parkland. We've been lambasted for not putting parks in the west side in Ian's proposal, and he's doing his job, his due diligence in putting that in there, but is that we could use the extra acreage that's going to be over there. I don't even know what that is distance wise, a half mile, 3/4 of a mile away, to offset what they're short in this subdivision. And I don't want to get yelled at in the future again because we didn't put enough parkland in. So that is an issue. I mean,
Right.
So
I took the,
As a comment when you get a moment.
You want to go first, Missy, before Chance, or?
no, go ahead, John.
A couple things. I am very concerned about the density for a number of reasons, not just aesthetics, traffic. There's some public safety concerns when you start building lightweight residential homes that close together. You have a fire spread concern and a number of other issues. I think the argument that this somehow diversifies the cost of housing in Belleville is going to miss the mark. I think we're going to end up with homes on these lots that, they're less expensive than what some stuff in the Baker Woods is selling for, but it's going to be nominal. It's not going to be a substantial gain. We're not largely going to benefit first-time home buyers, especially in the current climate with mortgage rates what they are. I think the trade-off for that is not, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. We're not going to benefit as a community from smaller lots, tighter housing. The buyer's not going to see a big savings, and the potential negative impacts on our community, I think, are greater than the potential gains here. Traffic is a concern. We've brought it up at other meetings. As of right now, it's a landlocked development. So you're going to have all that traffic really with one way in and one way out. So that's problematic for those that owns homes in those pathways. We have a traffic safety problem in the community as is. We're just missing the mark. This is too dense. And I'm just gonna be real honest. We've seen firsthand the product from this developer, and I don't know that we want to continue replicating that in the community. That was brought up by some of the speakers tonight, the aesthetics, the lack of trees, things like that. I don't think this is what Belleville needs right now. Do we need more housing? Do we need diversified housing? Yes. I think this is a deal with the devil that doesn't benefit us short-term or long-term. And it just needs to be revisited. I think our best course of action tonight is taking no action on the zoning application and letting it die on the vine. And if they want to come back with a different application for medium density or something different, then we have another conversation at that time. So that's just kind of my 2 cents right now.
Or possibly a mix of medium and high, and, you know, if that gets any more parkland.
I guess that's how, put my 2 cents, that's what I prefer to see. We don't have any subdivisions that we've approved in my time on the board where it's been all one density. It's a mix of density, then whether it be multifamily, low density, medium density, high density. This is just, you know, I was not on the fire department, I was on EMS, but this, I'm thinking one of these houses starts on fire and as close as they're gonna be, we get a wind out of the north or the south and the whole row is gonna go. Looks like row housing in Philadelphia or whatever. So, I think that, and that's a concern, and I've voiced the concern since we saw this plan originally, that the ingress and egress out of here just is not enough. I mean, yeah, you can get cars up and down there, but, you know, and I'm not gonna speak for Chance, because, but, you know, you get a structure fire and you're gonna try to get a ladder truck down one of those roads, you're never gonna get it down there, so. So I would, again, I agree. I think if we had some mixed, you know, some medium and high and in there, that would be much better, I think, so.
I would agree with more medium density for sure. And I would just like to see, I don't know if the developer has this, that is there some kind of benefit, you know, with having that high density home in terms of purchase price? Is it just minimal or does it have a significant impact? You know, otherwise, like I said earlier, are we just placing the same size house on a smaller lot and charging a similar?
No, I'm Josh Petrie. I'm the developer, I'm the builder. So I take all the comments pretty seriously, you know. I don't think you're dealing with the devil by any means. But I can tell you that there's a significant impact. We can bring a lot of people to Belleville by having a high density. I mean, we can get our house prices to a point that it would bring affordable houses. I mean, so I guess that's up to you guys whether you want that or not, but I mean, as we continue to develop these bigger lots up here, I mean, they just keep going up. I mean, land prices are high. It costs us a tremendous amount of money to develop these subdivisions, so that's why we're asking for the higher density. And in order to build more houses, we can bring the prices down.
What do you consider affordable housing? Roughly how much would those sell for?
Probably around 325 to 350.
But who's that affordable for? If you're a single parent, that's not affordable.
Oh, that's affordable. Both. Oh, this is Wisconsin. Verona or
Sir,
across.
this is Belleville. We're not worried about Verona. Let's talk about Belleville.
We sell houses from the people coming from. Too.
But again, if you're making 20, 25 bucks an hour, you're making 40, 50,000 a year. That is not affordable housing.
I can go. We sell houses too. And I can tell you the people that are moving to Wisconsin or coming to this area are able to afford the houses that they're purchasing from us. So, I mean, I can't speak for people working in restaurants or that, but I can just speak for what I know. Those are the people come from Madison or Verona, or because they're buying our houses because there's not another builder within 100 to 150,000 price that we have. And that's the truth. You guys can do all the research you want.
Is it good construction? Is it shoddy construction?
I mean, these people, I sell 75 houses up here a year. I mean, how many complaints does the village get?
I don't know. I'm new on the board. That's why.
Yeah, I think Ian or Abe could speak for that. I mean, they've dealt with us since the beginning. I mean, we don't have issues. Like, we take care of everything. On top of it, I've heard some tree comments. We paid our dues for all the trees in the parkways. That's on the village. The village handles the trees. We've offered to do it. it's on the village. So that one shouldn't be put on us. And so it's just, I mean, that's how it is. I mean, I could promise this village that we could get a lot more people here, which would bring a lot of jobs because it brings businesses.
Yeah, how does that bring a job? We
Well,
need,
it's gonna bring, I mean, it's gonna bring people, it's gonna bring businesses into here. It's gonna bring, I mean, you know, I mean, the more people, it's gonna.
Any other
So everybody has.
Anybody?
No, I mean, I'm not here.
Mr. Gavel. All right, any other committee comments?
Deb, I can answer your question on income. To afford a $325,000 home, you need roughly a combined household income of about a minimum of 100,000 a year to 150. And a 20% down would be roughly, I'm sorry, 10% down. You might be able to get that income down to $85,000 a year. You know, the median income in the village of Belleville, last I looked, is below $100,000 a year.
thank you.
So I think we're kind of splitting hairs. Yes, that's cheaper than some of the other alternatives. I mean, this is not a conversation for this meeting or this group, but housing is, yes, generally out of reach for a lot of people. I don't know that $325,000 puts it in reach for the people I'm thinking of when we talk about having affordable housing. So just that kind of puts it somewhat into perspective from a actual numbers.
Thank you.
So this agenda item is specific in regards to the potential rezoning to public grounds and rural single-family high density. That's what we got to keep the discussion about. Looking for,
You want a motion so we can vote, or you want?
if anybody wishes to make a motion, otherwise, you know, I guess it would go back to be reworked. If
I'll make a motion to go back to be reworked. That's a motion.
Yeah.
It has to be, someone has to make the motion for it to be zoned, changed to single family high density, so that can be voted on, correct?
Well, you don't have to vote on what's laid out here. You can make a motion to, like, you can make a motion to whatever you want. It's just, it needs to be productive and has to be instructive.
Yeah.
So.
So I should change my motion, it goes back to them with.
With your recommendation, I would like it to be high, I would like it to be a mixture of high density and medium density. And make the vote actually, like, you need to make it attainable. Not just rework it.
And more parkland or whatever else we want.
Because you could conceptually approve it saying, hey, if you do a medium density and low density, if you bring it back here, that is full. Like, you have to be able to, it has to be attainable.
actionable for.
Actionable.
Gabe, you could vote to delay it over
Yeah.
a month. And if, that's the same thing as, them making up stuff that we would have to come back for anyways. So if you just say, lay it over, we'll work with staff to try and come up with a plan that, incorporates some of these comments and back next time.
My advice, though,
Some direction.
is direction. What would you approve? Don't just pass around and say, we'll discuss next time. If we bring it back next time, what does that mean? What gets that check?
Is there also an option just to reject the request as it is? And then you put that back on the developer if they have to.
Well, but again,
Yeah, but
the direction would be good.
Providing directions going could the process along rather than just leave it nebulous as to what are we supposed to do.
I'll make a motion that we not act on this tonight and that the developer come up with a new design, including low, medium and high density housing, single family housing, and additional park space.
I'll second.
So we have a motion on the floor from Gary, seconded by Missy to, exact wording he started with.
I got it.
Okay, got it.
The motion on the table is, no action tonight, and to ask the developer to go back to redesign, the zoning that would include, a variation of low, medium, and high density and possible additional park space.
Now, any discussions you have for percentages?
I was just thinking at least 50% medium density. I don't, yeah.
Yeah. What's attainable? I'm asking you.
Yeah.
What is attainable? Like what's?
You know, well, I was told to try and get 250 lots to make it workable. So we'll come back and, yeah, we'll take another look at it. That's all I can tell you.
I mean, the comparable neighborhood, Upgrove has 120 homes, right? So 248 is pretty extensive compared to what we've currently seen. So I think you got to put a number maybe to what kind of number of homes you're looking to put in there.
What's the current density now in Baker's Woods? So we can conceptualize what Baker's Woods is now and what this might look like. What is that right now? You guys know?
There's a combination of stuff out there.
Yeah.
Baker. So are you talking about West or Baker?
Yeah. They all kind of meld together.
Olson, Brook, James. Is that considered medium?
Well, it's a mix of medium and what was low. Right, this is Bell West.
I guess my opinion is if those houses are selling in there, why don't you continue that here with bigger lots?
I mean, you're only gonna bring a certain amount of people at that point, you know, I mean, but all these other people that would buy these houses, they have families too, you know, so I guess you say it's a family community, I guess you're not wanting.
Different, small community, more than a city.
So if you look at the design, it's low density next to the river, the trails can go, and then it goes to medium density. That would be my recommendations. On the outside, you have low density. On the medium, you have medium.
Yes. I like that.
Yeah, I think to put numbers on, I understand wanting to do that, but again, they're gonna have to manipulate what they have here and they may change the street, they'll probably change the street structure. So I don't wanna say you gotta have 70 lots that are this. I think that's up to them to try to figure out, so. A combination, I said a combination, so, you know.
So we'd entertain high density in that
Yeah,
area too.
some low, medium and high, I was in my motions.
Right. You know, I guess, I think what you were hinting at is, I'm sure there's a way to structure it where maybe you have lower density on the outside and high density in the center, combination of that, something like that, and or adjust where the parks are placed on top of that to, address all of these concerns.
Just bigger lot sizes on the outside could address some of the issues with the adjacent landowners too, having more green space.
Yeah.
Bigger lot sizes potentially.
So,
If you make it so stringent, you're gonna make it so they're not gonna be able to make their nut. And they're just gonna have to, whatever, subland.
well,
Maybe
I think that's why,
Well, we want to work together, obviously.
I think that's why we don't want to say a hard percentage
Yeah.
of any particular type. I think hearing the public, I mean, one of the goals is traffic. Well, can be addressed some by lower density, and certainly mixing the density. You might not get it perfect. And then a lot of the green space and, the easement right away trail, if that can be worked in to, the whole concept of might consider that, acreage for park space. I don't know. I mean, that's kind of where my head's at.
We're looking for a compromise. Yeah.
Reduced number, we're gonna have, some of those problems will take care of themselves.
Right.
We won't have, the row houses, we won't have the traffic. We won't have the postage stamp lots. They should be able to work with, if we come back and say we want 140 houses, they should be able to figure that out. They're the builders and the developers.
So this is zoning of parks and so government land and residential, right?
Work itself out.
Is that enough for you guys? Does that give you a clear idea?
You could approve a rezone of medium and that's it. You don't have to see a second technically. You could say this is what we want. Because that, they're showing you what the design looks like, but they don't. That's not.
Approval without seeing a plan.
Because it doesn't, what the plan is, doesn't matter.
So if we move to approve those,
Right, I mean.
Well,
that's
but-
what the conversation is going on tonight, because the two go hand in hand. You said that yourself.
yeah,
Right, so why would you make an approval of something that you haven't seen?
well, yeah, I mean, I understand that. I mean, the plat. So you're saying, Gabe, that we could make a motion to, and again, there's already a motion on the table, but we could make a motion to approve low, medium and high density in there with, because the motion or the one that was in front, well, I guess it did. It was 248 high density lots is what really we would have been approving tonight if we'd have gone with that. So, yeah, I don't know.
Because you could do contingent upon low, medium and high density. And as long as they present that.
We still approve the final plan, so we dictate what proportion that
And
was.
I guess I'm not sure what the difference is.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the difference is between the motion that I made and.
No, there is. I'll just go.
Yeah,
right.
But not to complicate the motion at the table, but
Does it have to be rezoned one thing? No.
No,
Can it be
not have
amended?
to be a rezoned thing. It can be rezoned to mixed.
Well, yeah, but that's whole different
It
from
can be
rezoning.
rezoned to high density and you can.
With rezoning and saying what that
Ask for different specifications.
the plat, the next item is where they talk about the ingress and egress,
So, because I'm still fairly new to planning and zoning, and I want to make sure I'm clear. So if we rezone, are we specifying exactly which plots of land get zoned, or can they all be mixed zone? See, that's my concern
Yeah,
about,
I would just-
about if we would rezone it to medium density, well, what happens if the parks go to a different location? Or something like that?
I think what you have on the tables.
Okay,
Could you read that back so we can hear?
oh yeah, it'll be read back.
Thanks.
Okay, so any other discussion before we go to vote?
okay, so I have a motion on the table from Commissioner Ziegler for no action tonight, but to ask the developer to redesign that includes a mix of low, medium, high density and additional park space, and seconded by Commissioner Francois.
All those in favor?
Get a voice vote this?
Aye. Aye.
Okay, you are gonna voice vote this.
All
Okay,
right, we're gonna voice vote it.
I would have roll called it, but it's your choice.
All right, roll call it.
Okay, thanks.
You look like you wanted it that way.
I really do. It'll just make it easier. Thank you. Service,
Yes.
Kesmarsky,
No.
Ziegler,
Yes.
Baumgart,
Yes.
Wells,
Yes.
Unlow,
Yes.
Francois.
Yes.
Okay, that passes on a 6-1.
So we'll just have to bring that back to rezone it eventually.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Number 10. Yeah,
In light of the rezone vote, we would just withdraw our application at this time for number 10. Since talking about something that's moving.
I would still discuss to be able to provide as much feedback as possible for when it comes back to you. You don't just sit here and wait. Tell them exactly what you want to see.
It's a good idea.
yeah.
Sounds bigger, last big part.
Like, we can't change the road entrance. That's not, you can only do what we can do. But But what, with those parameters, what would you prefer to see?
Well, I think we said it. I mean, less slots, less traffic. Cause yeah, we can't change the number of egress and ingress and egress because we can't go across the trail. So, you know, less lots would make the traffic issues over there a little better. You know, and I think the neighbors concerns about some, it's the word I'm looking for, buffering, you know, back there, you know, those kind of things. So I think it's been pretty well laid out here tonight by the.
So.
So,
Gary, are we still only using the one inlet or as another entrance and exit plan? My concern is that somebody had stated that South Vine Street or Vine Street would be a way into the subdivision. That's a horrible idea, considering we just.
That's not true at all.
There's 3 entrances.
Yeah.
That's not true. There are 2. There's Clive Street just north of Sugar Ave extension, and that right now it's platted right of way. It's just grass, but it exists. And then there's the extension of Greenview that would run all the way through and terminate at the Badger Trail. Vine Street is stubbed out right when it gets to the Francois Oil property. And then coming to the north, it's stubbed out the same place, or if it gets to the Francois. So Francois Oil property is where there isn't enough room between buildings in that area to be able to get a formal right of way to our spec. And what we discussed, and I put in my review, I discussed it at least with Chief Hughes and Chief Backus, was if we could work with the developer and the property owner just to get a easement for emergency access at this time. And then when that is sold or redeveloped or whatever, and we wouldn't require the knockdown of a building to get formal access, we could do that. But there are 2 entrances and exits off of there. And again, with Chief Hughes and Chief Backus, we did zoom out and take a look at it. And I mean, yes, those do filter out onto Park Street, but you can also, you know, even Chief Hughes said in exited circumstances, he would likely have people out there directing traffic. Anybody who climb out Clive would go north on Park Street. Anybody who came out Greenview would go all the way out to the highway. And so we didn't really see an issue there. Also, in speaking with the DNR, he deferred to the DNR. You know, emergency vehicles can access the entirety of the plat from Badger Trail if necessary. I still have not heard back about using that as an evacuation route. It does not look likely, but the DNR is still considering. Like I said, the DOT owns it. The DNR has a 99-year lease on it, and the DNR. So I'm still waiting to hear back. So there's more than one entrance and exit from there.
Okay.
Yep.
As long as Vine Street is not an option, I'm good.
I ask a quick question. Would the plan commission consider a collaborative design process between the developer and some other experts? In the testimony and materials we submitted, we made some suggestions as to who might have that kind of expertise. I just throw that out as an option.
You have no say over who. That's not a legal thing, but.
Forgive my ignorance.
Certainly, you can work with them directly. We're not.
Yeah, board.
But they cannot require.
He's here, he's in the room. Ask him any questions you guys want. So it's up there in front of you earlier.
Put the list together quick to make sure. Summary. Oh, so let me know if I'm missing anything here. So got 4 main points to be considered. The first one we kind of covered with the last topic of mixed density residential. Covering then also the amount of parkland and how that works into the changing of the density and sticking to our ordinances if we can. And something I'm willing to consider, I don't know about the rest of the commission, but some of that parkland could be maintaining the buffer zones or the easement right of way trail and things that were discussed. And then there was a comment about along with transportation, sidewalks and trees, which is something also. So,
I'll say again, the trees, we do have a development agreement with this developer where they pay a $350 fee for every unit they build, plant a tree. That was agreed to by the board. So they've kept up their end and paid the $350 per lot for a tree. And we have just started this year planting them. So that isn't a deficiency in the developer. It's a deficiency in us following through.
Right. Yeah, correct. Yeah, I don't think anybody said it was a deficiency.
There was.
Yes.
Hey, I have a question on the plan. I don't see any stormwater retention. What's the plan for runoff and stormwater?
There are 2 or 3 stormwater detention ponds in there. There were comments between MSA and Arc Design about it. And I know I spoke to Jeff briefly before, and he said that he's working with them or has answered all the questions so far. I don't know if that's.
Yeah, without actually getting into the details of the plan, which is subject to change, there are 2 main detention areas, sir. One right next to Greenview Avenue, which was a combination park and decorative pond. The other on the far southeast of the property, which was more of just a traditional detention area. There's also a mapped wetland, which we mapped late last month on the northwest corner of the property, which basically is a stilling basin for water that comes from the church across Badger Trail. And then it's routed through our development. So our pond sizes meet all the DNR and village requirements for stormwater management.
Okay, just because I know the development to the east of there falls within the 100-year floodplain, so we don't want to make things worse.
We're not in the 100-year floodplain. The decorative pond actually would tie into storm sewer on Greenview, continue further east and dump into an existing detention area that's already built about five or six houses to the east.
Okay, thank you.
So is that sufficient guidance for reworking this some? I mean, we're just.
Yeah, and since I have the floor, the streets were planned and ours would still be planned for urban standard, Village of Belleville standard, so there's sidewalk on both sides. I mean, that was
it's part of our ordinance.
Okay, so no action to be taken
One
on
quick
that.
comment. You want to make everybody happy?
Yeah.
Yes. Connect this up here, the green space through these backyards right here, connect this pond down across next to Scotty's property. Connect that retention pond and back to your park. Their bike trail. Higher density could easily be along the bike trail because nobody's backyard is right there. You have 100-foot bike trail. So it makes these people happy, and these people happy.
So I would regret not saying this, and I don't do well with regretting things. So I feel like as staff, our job, and I feel specifically my job, is to work within the law to try to complete anything that any resident wants to do with their property. Any landowner within the village wants to do with their property, anything within the law. And I see it no different for a developer that wants to develop their property. Albeit if it is, a duplex being put up, or if it's 250 lot proposal. And so that's what I'm looking at through this, and making everybody in this happy. It doesn't make everyone happy in this room. And I understand he's making money off of this. This is his business. That's what he does. But it's also, this plan was in response to something that came from prior plan commission, where you were looking for more density. It's always when we created the single family high density, was to kind of try to match market conditions, which market is trending closer to higher density. There's actually people like Corona and Wanakee as well. They're actually more dense than this would be in certain instances, with different subdivisions that currently are or have been built in the last few years. And we talk about housing prices. I know that we had talked about the $320,000 price tag possibility. I know that that's ballpark, because God knows what's happening with materials and all that kind of stuff. But that certainly is not going to help with any affordable housing, having larger lots, because that's a huge expense, because there's billions of dollars worth of infrastructure there. So, I mean, I think it's important to take into account that the developer pays taxes the same as everyone who lives here. It is a symbiotic relationship, and he's a landowner, and we need to try to figure out a way to be able to do within the law what they want to do with their land also.
Big difference is most of those subdivisions have a major road next to them. This is all residential. All the way in or out of there is residential streets, quiet streets.
No, it's not a location for density.
Fine place for highway.
Right. And I appreciate your comments, Gage, but not all proposals are necessarily profitable, right? And people make poor decisions, and that's not your job to.
No, but my job is try to help everyone do what they envision with their land.
Understood. I appreciate it very much.
Speaking, I don't want to speak for everybody up here, but we're trying to work together to make it happen and make it profitable for you yet also. I mean, we're not asking you to lose money or anything like that. I just trying to find a compromise.
I'll say that, just like Ian said, we were asked to bring houses here, and that's all we try to do. So we'll figure out a way to make it happen, and that's all we can do.
Okay, moving on. Let's see. We've got item number 11 on our agenda, site plan application, Dev 2025-14 for 13 West Main Street. Is yeah, right across the street. We can see it out the door, out the window.
West Main Street, Quill Shop right across the street. Applicant is looking to put in a tavern, venue, and then possibly a whole lot of other cool stuff later on. Yeah, that's about it. The site itself is not substantially changing. The building would undergo some changes. And yeah, that's all within my review.
I think the builder had some comments regarding Ian's, and I forwarded that to you guys. It tells you have also a paper copy here regarding his comment. So the response to his comment, which I will not read out loud because let's not recreate that.
Response from Angus Young or
Pretty sure it's Angus Young.
Yes, that's Angus Young.
Again, I think
The biggest concern was like parking. That is the inherent issue with everything on Main Street.
Honestly, requiring parking for any of these buildings, you can require the sun and the moon. That doesn't mean you can last.
Yeah, I think Ian laid it out really well in the letter, and he had some his recommendations with some conditions on there, so I can't wait to see what it actually looks like when it's finished over there, so. Might be a little early, but I'd certainly make a motion to approve it with the recommendations and Ian letter dated May 14th. I can wait to make that motion if we want to have a little more discussion.
Second. Still, there's an alley.
Who seconded?
I'll second.
Missy second to get us to discussion.
Okay.
Okay.
So there's an alley back there. Is that does the village own that? Does somebody own that alley?
Actually, the alley is split up between multiple owners that all have access easements along the drive that's contained there, but it's all separate ownership. I mean, even some of the garages are owned separately from the primary structure, so it's a little wonky.
Oh, that was my question. Thank you.
Yeah, Greg Arndorf for Angus Young. I wrote the response. I will say there's no public access to that rear. I think you wrote about the existing paving back there. I kind of dictated what the long-term goals are. With the second phase come through village approvals in the future. So there is, my understanding of the sites is we are completely landlocked. And even if we were to attempt to make parking work back there, there's no public access to it.
So garbage and recycling, and I know it kind of applies to the same thing at the garage too, but if you have required to be screened and all that kind of stuff, so if with what was just said, you have a 3-yard, 2-yard, 4-yard dumpster in the back, you don't have to roll that out to the street to get that dumped, right? They can. I'm just asking in general because I didn't think about that before, but
Well, when Patches and Pedals had it, they had a big dumpster back there and the truck came and picked it up and dumped it.
Yeah, no, any business that I'm aware of that has a dumpster back there, and there are some that have carts that wheel.
Yeah.
If there's a dumpster, they get picked up commercially.
They drive back there and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For mine, they rolled the garbage guy rolls it to the road, dumps it and pushes it back.
Really? You got a 2-yard or 4-yard on wheels, right?
3-yard on.
3-yard on wheels, and so they.
Because I have too many power lines.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Right. Okay.
I can't drive.
Okay. Is that an issue? That's not an issue behind the power lines back there?
There are existing power overhead lines.
Okay.
We explored trying to get Solanter to put them underground and what that would be like.
Bet it did. So are you saying you guys are gonna have to do the same thing? The garbage, they're gonna have to roll it out?
Yeah, we'll have to figure.
Probably.
Yeah,
Okay.
garbage guy does it for me.
Okay. All right.
Wow, this John will even better.
You're doing one, John, you might as well do a couple, so.
Let's get a big dumpster.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Okay. Any other discussion? So we've got a motion on the floor to
Approve with the recommendations from staff comments.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Commission member announcements, statements, or questions? Future agenda items.
These are a lot of fun. We have 4 public hearings planned for next month. We have a rezone over in Bell West Lot 23 that will include a comp plan resolution and a rezone or to change that. And 2 really simple beer garden CUPs because it's the season for that. So as we're transitioning from the yearly beer garden to the CUP process, we're just gonna get them all hopefully done at once.
It's a little pain up front so that we don't have to worry about it again unless they change something material to the operation.
I'm willing to take it on.
Yeah, so that's all scheduled for next month.
And I'm showing our next meeting is June 11th.
Right.
Right. Right. I would entertain a motion.
I mean, we'll move, adjourn.
Let's second that motion.
All right, give us.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned at 7:36.